Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and today is July 30th, 2019, a seemingly innocuous day. I spent it with Mr. Repsion in Seattle at the We Love You 3000 Borathon. I'm sorry, the thank you tour. But on the way home, while I was stuck in traffic, I came across an article that said today was the 20th anniversary of the Blair Witch Project. And I found this image here from a Comic-Con panel in 1999 that happened either just before, probably just before the release of the film. Now, I remember where I was July 30th, 1999. I remember going to Tigard Cinemas, the Act 3 cinemas in Tigard, Oregon. I think it was actually Regal at that time. Yeah, it had just been bought out by Regal the year before. And I went to that theater with my best friend and his sister, and we sat down to watch this movie in the THX Auditorium, a 650 person room that is not the venue you want to watch this movie on, but I didn't care. I was in this movie. I was so into this film that I had to see it at the very first possible availability. And there wasn't a midnight show for it either because I looked, but I went with my friends and they hated it. My friend's sister, my buddy got motion sickness, couldn't make it more than halfway through the film. His sister lasted maybe another 15 minutes, and my ass sat there to the very end waiting to see what happens next because I was sold on this movie. And I'll be honest with you, when I first came across the viral marketing for this and the original website for this and how it broke down the story and the story of the three teens who went missing and everything else with the college students who went missing, I was sold. Part of me knew it was fake. Part of me wanted it to be real, but either way, this movie had completely encapsulated all of my imagination, all of my thoughts for days leading up to its release. And when I finally got to see it, I was not disappointed. Yes, I knew that it was fake. Yes, I knew that it wasn't real, but I didn't care. In my mind, in my 17-year-old heart of hearts, that version of me believes that the Blair Witch Project was real because of how they presented it. And I think I wanted it to be real. But one of the things that this movie did is it opened up my eyes to probably my most favorite genre of filmmaking, and that is point of view found footage, the visceral nature of it, how you're able to tell these really intimate tales with it. In fact, the two feature films that I have made, In Search of, and one called Screenplay that we shot like 8 years ago, but it's never going to see the light of day, even though I just talked to the director at Comic-Con last week and he's going to try to do something with it, but he's been saying that now for years. But In Search of we shot in 2010, and it was a point of view found footage, my first feature film. And I shot it like that because of my absolute love of the Blair Witch Project. I know this movie is dated as hell, and it's one of those ones that you watch and you're like, wow, it didn't really live up 20 years later, at least to most people. To me, it's absolutely as good now as it was back then. In fact, for me, it's 100% better because I've got to learn about the process. I remember when the movie came on Showtime, and I had moved from Oregon to San Diego, and I had a TV tuner card in my computer, and I remember watching it on a small little window, like a little pop-up screen, because that was the only way to really get around the motion sickness of it all. I remember buying the DVD in order to get the audio commentary to listen to how they made this movie. I remember falling in love with the television show Freaky Links because it was co-created by one of the creators of the show, and it felt very similar to the concept of it. I remember rushing out to go see Blair Witch Project 2. And then immediately wishing that I hadn't seen Blair Witch Project 2 in 2000. And Wedding in 2000 when that movie came out. But the Blair Witch Project, it will be and will always be one of my all-time favorite films because of what it did to the genre, because of the success of the Blair Witch Project. We have films like Cloverfield, films like Wreck. If you haven't seen Wreck, you are missing the hell out. It's an amazing movie. So many Chronicle, Diary of the Dead. Say what you will about that movie. Romero modeled a lot of it after the concepts created and very much popularized by the Blair Witch Project. It is a movie that cost $27,000 to make, and then they definitely spent some more money on trying to fix it. I believe the rumor I heard was they spent about $1 million to $3 million on ADRing the film, which makes a lot of sense because it probably didn't have the best audio. But it doesn't matter about the movie or the budget or anything else. What matters is the movie itself and what it brought to pop culture, what it showed us was that an image of a girl crying in the woods could compel millions of people the world over to 100% dive into this story head first, to listen and believe that it was real and to want to experience it. I totally forgot about the Paranormal Activity franchise, another one that is great in its own right, but also kind of modeled after something like this, a very low budget film that really focuses on the human drama while trying to paint a scary picture around it. And it works. The acting in Blair Witch is way better than Paranormal Activity, but the ideas there are still the same. The concepts are still the same. What we don't see in the dark will frighten us. What we don't know is staring at us will always make us stare over our shoulder, or it will make the hair on the back of our neck stand up. It's always that thing. And Blair Witch to me has always been that, right? It's always been that. As a wide-eyed 17-year-old kid from Portland, Oregon, who knew he wanted to make movies, this movie spoke to me more than anything else. This movie spoke to me probably like Jaws or Close Encounters spoke to J.J. Abrams in regards to who he wanted to model his work after. I'm nowhere near as talented as JJ in regards to Spielberg, but I can replicate the hell out of the Blair Witch Project, not because it's an easy concept to replicate. In fact, it's the exact opposite. The care that went into the viral marketing of this, the care that went into the concept of what this movie was, actually heavily influenced this job I had in 2012. There's a movie, I don't even know if it's still on Netflix. It's called Devil's Pass. It is kind of a sequel to the Dyatlov Pass project in regards to 9 University of or like I think it's like a few University of Oregon students travel to the northern Ural Mountains in order to uncover what happened to the Dyatlov Pass incident, see what went on with that. I was actually brought in right before production began on that film. I was hired because I talked a lot about the Blair Witch Project and how much I loved it, and Cloverfield and point of view found footage movies, and I was the exact audience this movie was trying to go for. And I got to help shape this movie. I did. I met with these producers. I pitched them a ton of ideas and they listened. And in fact, one of my ideas ended up in the final product of the film, even though I was unceremoniously fired after seeing the first cut and kind of pointing out that it wasn't very good, but giving ideas of how to fix it. I still went on and saw the movie when it hit Netflix, and it wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best thing ever. Rennie Harlan kind of screwed it up. But I remember sitting in that room. I'm at the head of it. I'm in a boardroom, and I'm surrounded by executives from this company, and I'm just pitching them concepts for how to make Devil's Pass a better film. And I think that even though as much as I love Rennie Harlan as a director, I probably would have been better suited to make this thing. I'm just going to say it. But the reason why I bring it up was my love of Blair Witch, my knowledge of Blair Witch and other films like it, gave me ultimately one of the best and coolest moments of my life. I was taken off that project. Okay, I was. But March 25th, 2012, or it was like mid-March 2012, right before I turned 30. I wasn't doing much with my life. I trying to find work in LA, not really getting it, and somehow getting myself in this room with these people. And I spent an hour and a half just talking movies with them and getting them excited for their own project, and them talking to me about pitching them a viral marketing campaign. And then me sitting there and thinking about how Blair Witch influenced me as a kid and how I could maybe try to make this movie influence other people and create that same mystery and ultimately the same legacy. I might have bitten off more than I can chew, but I was trying to hone the Blair Witch Project in my proposal. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. And one of the reasons why is because they didn't have it in their budget to do what I wanted. They wanted me to make this movie go viral, but they didn't want to pay for it to go viral because they didn't understand how social media worked. And that's okay. That's okay. I don't, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I have that experience. At the end of the day, I got to sit there and pitch them. I remember the feeling of elation going home, telling my girlfriend how much that I've kind of found my calling. This was going to be it. And I still remember how I feel in that moment and knowing that that is something I want to do with my life. And that's from Blair Witch Project. I really do love this movie. So much so, and I will end with this story. And this is 100% true, and I am a jackass for doing it, but this is 100% true. Leading up to the release of Blair Witch, like mid-July 1999, I was desperate to see this movie. I was desperate to see this film. I didn't want to wait. I had to go and see it. So I'm on a Yahoo chat group or a Yahoo forum for movies. And someone pops in and says, I've got a copy of the Blair Witch Project. Someone leaked it on the internet. This was in 1999 before piracy was as rampant as it was. You had to really do a deep dive in order to jump into the piracy game. It's not as easy as it was with Napster. This is previous Napster. This is before all that stuff. So my dumb, stupid teenage brain dove into action. And I'm like, I have to get a copy of this. I have to get a copy of this. So I went into Yahoo. I created a new account. And I kind of tried to like catfish this guy a little bit. Just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. I told him that I was like the cousin of Heather Donahue, right? And like, we didn't know what happened to her. Like, we haven't seen the movie yet. And this was the 90s, the late 90s. People still believed what you told them on the internet. And that's kind of what I was banking on. And so I told him like, no, I just really want, the family really wants to know what's going to happen. I played that card and the dude bought it. He bought it hook, line, and sinker. I'm not kidding you. He bought it. And then he actually like was talking to me, like, and trying to get my address to like send me the movie. He was going to send me the VHS rip that he had and, or a copy of it or something. And I was going to give him my neighbor's address and then tell my neighbor, like, it's cool, you know? And my neighbor wouldn't have cared. He was an alcoholic. It's true. Anyway, so right before he was going to send it to me, like the day before he was going to send it to me, it came out that the movie was not real, that the actors were alive. And he was furious at me. He was furious. He was so mad. He sent me this email all in caps, just tearing me a new one. How dare you lie to me over this? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, sorry, my boyfriend's here. I got to go. TTFN. And I was 17. So I was desperate to see this. I lied to some random guy on the internet that I didn't even know. Kind of half catfished him in order to get my hands on this pirated copy of a movie. That is how important this movie is in my life. Was it stupid of me to do? 100%. I still paid to see it when it came out. I still paid to buy it when it came out. I still own the movie to this day. I still love the movie to this day. But I wanted to on the 20th anniversary of this film, and I know I've been rambling for like a while, over about 15 minutes. I wanted to just kind of tell you guys why and ask if you've experienced the same thing. Maybe not with this movie, but another movie. Is there anything that has just impacted your life in a way so profoundly that you would do anything to see it? And you kind of get to that point, you know? So I just wanted to share this story. It's a dumb story, but it's fun. I love the Blair Witch Project. I love what it's done for pop culture. I love what it's done for cinema. I love that we've gotten some great point of view found footage movies that we probably wouldn't have gotten unless something like this paved the way back in the 1990s. And unfortunately, it did come out at a time where there was another point of view found footage pseudo documentary movie that ended up not getting any love because the Blair Witch kind of sucked all the air out of the room. And it was a really interesting movie called The Last Broadcast, which is about a couple dudes who died or went missing really while shooting a kind of a public access internet show in the New Jersey woods, trying to hunt down the Jersey Devil. And it was about a documentarian trying to uncover what happened to them and piece all the puzzle back together. And the movie was shot for like $900. It was distributed back in the fall of 1999. And it's not the best movie in the world, but it came out before Blair Witch Project hit videos, and it never got any love. And if you can ever find it anywhere, I recommend watching it. And if you do, come back and let me know. Find me on social media. I think social media links that way. And let me know your thoughts on that one. Anyway, I'm done rambling on this one. Your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments. If you guys like this video, please do me a solid. Help me get to, like, let's say 300 likes on this one, or 200, 300, whatever you want. And let me know your favorite bit about Blair Witch Project. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.